Right, good morning everybody. Morning. I decided this morning at 6:30 when I was sat in the bath that I wasn't going to do what I'd planned to do with you guys today, because I think you've probably had a few days of fairly full-on people talking to you about their experience. And I am going to do a little bit about that because it might be useful. But what I want you to do is I want you to think about where you want to be. So as I'm talking, I want you guys to think that bit of information will help me in my future. Okay? So whilst it's my information, I want you to really draw what you can out of it and think, that's going to help me. I'm also going to share with you my ambitions. Okay? And I want you to think about your ambitions, not just your career, but what you really want to do. And as we're doing today's session, and as you're doing the rest of the conference today, I want you to think about what other people are saying in the room. Not just think about your own experience, but I want you to think about what other people are saying to you. Think about how they could possibly help you in your ambitions or your career. I know it's pretty basic stuff, but sometimes it's stuff that we need to be reminded of. So, it's going to be a little bit about what I've done, and then at the end we're going to have a bit of a session of sharing what you guys want to do and how everybody else in the room can help you. Who do you know that could help? That kind of thing. All right? So, bear with me. We're going to get through this presentation and then we're going to do what I really want to do. So, I've had quite an extensive career. I've worked for large corporate companies, worked my way up. I've worked and run small enterprises, large enterprises. I've consulted in public sector, worked for government bodies, done all sorts of things. But I've done them really well. Okay, this isn't a me blowing my own trumpet thing. I didn't go to university. I didn't want to. I'd had enough of learning and I wanted to get out and do some hands-on work, earn some money and start and live a bit. So I started work in 1990, worked my way up through Royal Bank of Scotland, ended up as top sales manager in the UK. I loved it. It was great. The rewards were really good with that. It taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about myself as well. Because when I left school, the likelihood of me getting a job and actually holding a job down was pretty slim. There was too much else to distract me. So I was really, really chuffed that I managed to keep a job, let alone do really well at it. Through that, I set up my own financial services company, which started off as just 2 of us, and then I grew it to, we've got 4 offices around the UK, 17 sales staff, 10 administrators. It was a decent sized concern, and I really enjoyed that, and that taught me a lot as well. I then went as a management consultant to Business Link, which was massively interesting because it was completely different to anything I'd done, and it was all around public sector, which is totally, totally different from private sector. And then I started working for myself again. I'm not very good at being told what to do. I'm not very good at working for somebody, so I'm better off self-employed. Started working, running a company called IJM Media. Still do a lot of work in the media. That also does a lot of schools development work, so it's teaching kids in schools about business skills. So not only do you need your qualifications and your academic side, your academic skills, but you need transferable skills to get out into the world of work, okay? And I'm really keen on that, and I know you guys are kind of either just entering the world of work, you've been in there for a little bit. It's massively important that you have these skills as well as your academic qualifications. I'm not going to take away anything from the academic world at all, but I want you to really think about your transferable skills today. That's something else I want you guys to focus on, and what you can take away from this conference and having, what have you learned, okay, about what you learned about yourselves. I also fell into the role of events manager for the Royal Television Society, which I have to say I love doing. I've been doing it now for 3 years, and it's just brilliant. It's great. I get to work with folk off the telly. I get to work from home, which is really important to me. And I have a great time. I'm very, very lucky. But it's hard work. So, I've already mentioned transferable skills a couple of times. I'll probably bang on about them a bit on the way through this journey that we're going on today. But some of the skills that I've picked up over the years, flexibility. You have to change pretty quick. Okay? So when we came in this morning, do you want sound with your presentation? We haven't got any sound. No, it's all right, we don't need sound. We can do it without sound. You can be flexible. I've changed my mind on the way, as I said first thing this morning, about what I was going to do. So it's up to me to be a bit more flexible and make sure that you guys have a good time. All these skills that I've built up, probably the most important one for me out of any skill that I've ever done is relationship building. I think that is key to my career success, is being able to make friends with people and get on with them. And it sounds like quite a basic skill when you think, but what about communication and presentation and all the serious skills? Making friends with people is really very important. Okay. Outside of work, I am obsessed with dogs. I love dogs of all sorts, and those are my 5 current babies, along with the other 2 people that come lower down the pecking order in my world, which is my son and my husband. But the dogs to me are, I love them. That's it. That's why I work. I work to keep my dogs happy. And aren't they beautiful? They are so beautiful. Right, off the dogs quick, because I should be on them for hours. Right, so Royal Television Society then. The Royal Television Society is a massive national charity, and it was set up 80 odd years ago to provide support for people working in the television industry, but on the engineering side. Okay. Over the years it's evolved so that it now encompasses everybody that works in telly, everybody that does anything in telly. Okay. And it kind of is there for people to look at the progression of television. Where's it come from? Celebrate what's happened. How does it move on? And how do we look to the future? And what is the future of television? So it's an educational charity that's bringing lots of messages from all sorts of media into the television world and out to the people working in television. Okay? Prince of Wales is the patron. It was granted its royal title in 1966, so you can see it's been around for a long time. It's primarily there, as I said, as an educational charity, and we put on lots of events right across the country. I focus on the Midlands, which goes from here down to across into the East Midlands, down to just sort of the Oxford, top of Oxfordshire, that down there. So it's a big old region that we're dealing with. And it's my job to make sure that the people that work in the telly industry are going out to meaningful events that are going to give them information that's going to help them with their jobs, keeping up to date with technology, that kind of thing. And it's great. I don't understand half of it, I have to say, but it's really very good. It's all about setting a benchmark, making sure that we've got really good standards in the television industry, in the production industry, from people that are just entering the industry to people that have worked in for years and years and years, who might get a little bit stale, who might not want to keep up to date with the goings on, but who really need to. And it's recognised as somewhere that people can go to get help and information if they need to. It's also recognised as a real hallmark for quality. So I'll say this again in a bit, but what I want you to think of is BAFTA, but a little bit, just slightly below BAFTA. So everybody wants a BAFTA, yeah? Everybody that works in film wants a BAFTA. Everybody that works in telly wants an RTS award. It's a big old concern. And I feel really chuffed that I represent that for the Midlands. Okay, this is what all the television people are striving to get. They are striving to get an RTS award for the production, for what they're making, okay? Out of all of the events that we do in the year, and we do about 15, 16 events every year, the RTS Awards is by far the biggest. And they happen in lots of places around the country. Each of the different centres has to put on an RTS Awards ceremony every year. And it is a really big, glitzy, glamorous affair. Or it is now. It wasn't a few years ago when we started doing it. It was more like a dinner for 100 and odd people. But we've grown it. We've worked really hard and we've grown it. It has to be good. It has to be memorable. People have to go away thinking they've had a blooming good time and aren't they impressed with that event, okay? They've got to go away thinking that was probably the poshest night out I've had this year. It's got to be a good quality, good standard, really nice, glitzy, glamorous occasion. And the events team, which is me, and occasionally I rope Isabel in to help. The events team has to put that on, okay? And it takes up a lot of room in my dining room, I can tell you, for a good 6 months of the year. It happens in the autumn every year. We used to use the Holiday Inn in the middle of Birmingham, but we've outgrown it, and I'm really proud that we've outgrown it, because it means that the event's really gaining momentum. It's really becoming something big, which is great. We had it at the National Motorcycle Museum last year, and they've just asked me to commit to the next 2 years there. The National Motorcycle Museum room, I have to say, when you go in as a business person and you think, this is a really big room and I've got to fill this full of people and they've all got to pay to come, it's quite a daunting thought because it's huge. But we're getting there, It looked full last year, but we've still got the capacity to move up by a couple of hundred people. So last year we had 350 guests, which I was really pleased about because we have over doubled the size of it. And it was watched by 1,800 people via a live stream, which was just brilliant. So chuffed with that. And we'll talk about how we've grown it in a while. So, this isn't just so that I can look back and go, God, I was good. God, that event was brilliant. This is actually the some of the feedback from the event. And yeah, it was a blooming good event. But this is what people are paying for. They're paying to have a good night out, okay? They're paying to have another fabulous RTS event. They're paying to have a really great night. The comment, we feel we had good value for money, is brilliant. It's really good. Because sometimes you can go to these things and think, Christ, I've spent a lot of money on that ticket and actually I'm not sure that it was worth it. But if they've had good value for money, that is fantastic. Great customer service on our part. And it's personal as well. Wanted to say thank you to me for being so lovely. Also, I don't think I really did anything. I just got the people in and made sure they were having a nice time. But if people think that they personally know me, then we've got the personal touch. They've made friends with me. They've had a good time. This is my repeat business for this year. Okay? So already we're looking at, why have I made friends with people? I've made friends with people so that they've had a lovely time and so that they will come back next year, year on year on year. And they'll come back because they've loved it and they think it's good value for money. Okay. The daunting part of the feedback is, it was very impressive. Brackets. So what are you going to do next year that's going to make it even more impressive? So there's the $1 million question, isn't it? It was very impressive. So, no pressure. What am I going to do this year? Not a clue yet. Not a clue. But I know that if last year's was very impressive, this year's has got to be even more impressive. Okay. No pressure. But we can't have anybody going away saying, well, it was really good in 2014, but she lost it a bit in 2015. Right? So it's about keeping your customer service going, keeping your customers happy, managing their expectations. And sometimes it is on a wing and a prayer stuff. But it's all about being flexible. Okay. So, I've kind of built the picture of this awards. Have I? Have you got this awards? It's like the BAFTAs, a bit smaller. Folk are really impressed, but they have to pay to come. Okay? Big glitzy event. I've got to manage the expectations of people coming along, having a fantastic time, but I don't have a money tree, I don't have a magic wand, and I don't have a pot of gold, unfortunately. Okay? So, I'm going to put it out to you. An event for 350 people at the National Motorcycle Museum, where they come in their posh frocks, and they sit down and they have a fantastic meal, and they have a big awards ceremony, lots of champagne. How much do you think that costs? Ballpark figures. Chuck it out there. How much do you think it costs? Somebody have a guess.
30 grand.
Not far off. £29,500 that event costs. And that's quite a lot of money. How much budget do you think we get to put that event on? So it's got to be done. The RTS says you have to do this event every year. We know it costs £29,500. How much do you think they give us to put the awards on? 10. How many? 10. No, No.
Up there.
Not far off. 3 grand. Okay? So £3 covers the cost of the trophies that we have to have made. Okay? And there has to be 13 of them, and that covers the cost of the trophies. So we have a difference of £26,500, which has to come from somewhere. So this is where we start getting businessy. Okay? Great, fluffy, glitzy, glamorous event. The guests come, that's what they want. But what they don't know is that it costs £29,500 to put it on. It's going to cost more this year because it's going to be a bigger event, and we're going to have some high aspirations for it, as are they. The budget of £3,000 that comes in won't change. It's always been £3,000 when it was 100 people, and it'll be £3,000 when it's 500 people. So the event gets bigger, the costs get bigger, the budget stays the same. So I have to find £26,500. Where do we think we find that from? Sponsorship. Come on to that in a minute. And I said earlier that people get value for money, so some of it's going to be from ticket sales. Yeah. So that's our income, sponsorship and ticket sales and entry fees. So after Easter, when I put out because don't forget the events team, me, when I put out the invite for the great and the good of the telly in the Midlands to enter the awards after Easter, I then have to sit and hope that they will enter. Okay? I can't make them. They've got to think that it's a good enough proposition. They've got to be passionate enough about winning or competing for an RTS award. They won't do it if they think that that's an easy thing to get. If they think that the categories are going to be flooded, they won't do it, especially the smaller production houses, because they'll think the BBC will get that. So we have to start off by encouraging the smaller people to think, you know what, we can do that, and then that's great for our PR. So we're going to look for testimonials from people from the smaller production houses, not the big players like ITV and the BBC. We're going to look for testimonials from them, so that they can say, it was great for our PR, this is what we've done this year, it's been fantastic. On the back of winning that RTS award, we put it out on Twitter, we did this with it, we did that with it, and look at the business we've got from it. So we're going to rely on, again, making friends with people who have already won awards. It's no good them going out of the door going, I've won an award, but she was a bit of a cow, I won't deal with her. They've got to come back to me and they've got to go, Jane, that was fantastic, we've got so much we can put in this year. And I can go, that's brilliant news, how can I help you, what can I do to make the process easier for you? So it's about going the extra mile for people, still making friends with them. These are my customers, these are our customers. But not only are they our customers, but these days it's very easy for people to find out if people are having a good or bad experience, because we've got so much social media. Okay, so they've only got to tweet out, had a crap night at the RTS Awards, food was dreadful, service wasn't particularly good. How many people are going to see that? So it's so important these days that everybody you meet thinks you're great. It doesn't matter what you think about them when you get home at night and you close the doors and you go, ah, it doesn't matter. But when you're in front of them, they are the most important person to you because they are your customers and they are the ones that will talk. Okay? So, income then. Part of it is sales, part of it is sponsorship, part of it's a wing and a prayer. We just have to hope that everybody's happy and that they like it. Okay? So when the entries come in, they'll come in with an entry fee. 30 quid each entry. So last year we had 120, sorry, is that right? Last year we had 120 entries at 30 quid, so that's £3,600 into the coffers. Our first bit of income, thank goodness. I've got to get the entries judged, okay, so I have to talk to people outside our region in the television industry so that they're not biased, so people in London, Scotland, Wales, all over the place, people off the telly, people that are specialists in the field of production, digital, editing, all sorts of things. Can they come? Can they judge for us? Will they watch? Will they sit and watch the telly? It's a great thing, judging. Will you sit and watch the telly and decide which ones you like? Fantastic. Who would say no? But we're not going to pay you for it, but we will give you a ticket to come to the awards. So we're again making friends with people. Please, will you do this for me? I really need a judge. Begging sometimes works, win sales. Once I've had the awards judged and I can announce the nominees, I can then start selling tickets. So that's where the sales comes in. Now, we already know that people like the BBC, ITV and the larger production houses. It's in their marketing budget every year. They've factored in a couple of grand to come to the RTS Awards. So we already know that they will take some tables, they will come, they'll have a great night. We just have to keep them happy. And I sent an email over to BBC Drama Village the other day saying, OK, I'm going to announce, just give you the heads up, I'm going to announce the call for entries after Easter. Do you want me to come over? Is there anything I can do to help you? Because they've got so much else going on. Last year they forgot to put in one of their entries. So I remembered that and went back and said, we don't want the same issue this year. I don't want you panicking at the last minute. How can I take the pressure off? So it's just about going the extra mile with customer services, and the sales will come from that. So it's the smaller production houses, the smaller companies where 65 quid for a ticket or 550 quid for a table of 10, that's a lot of money to come out of their budget. It's a lot of money, and they really want to come because in order to progress their business on, they need to be seen to be there. So there's obviously favours that we can do for people that are nice to us, and again they remember that. So if I say, look, come on, take a table, I'd really like you to take a table this year, I'll knock 50 quid off it for you. Oh, thank you, that's brilliant, thank you so much. They'll remember that, they'll come again. It's thinking what you can do for other people. How can you make it sort of accessible for everybody whilst still making sure that this gap of 26.5 grand is covered? So you've got to be pretty on top of everything. Got to be pretty on top of the administration side, the relationship building side, and the finance side. Okay. And also, we want to make sure that the smaller production houses, when they're doing their budgets, when they're sitting doing their yearly budgets, ready for the next year, we want to make sure that part of their marketing budget is us. We want to make sure that they think it's a good enough way of promoting their business and raising awareness for their business and networking that they are going to include a night out at the RTS Awards in their marketing budget. Okay? Because then it's already paid for. So it's about maintaining the relationship as well with these people. Okay? The awards are set for the 12th of November. I'm already telling people the date. Because if their year end is coming up soon and they're looking at setting their new budgets, or if they've got a bit of cash at the end of the year that they might need to get rid of, pop it aside. Pop it aside, we can do something at the RTS for you. So it's about knowing your customers, knowing their business, okay? Being in the right place at the right time, and so it goes back to what I said right at the beginning, making friends with people. Okay. So we know that we've got to keep our existing customers happy to get the sales in, and we know that they will be repeat customers for as long as we keep them happy. Okay? And then we want new customers, because that's how you grow, isn't it? New customers. So to do that, we've got to be out there. We've got to be telling people with conviction how good our awards are. You need to be there, because it's the most fantastic night out in telly that there is in the Midlands in the whole of the year. Everybody's there. Why would you not want to be there? It's a fantastic opportunity to promote your business. Come along, tell me who you want to be introduced to. I will introduce you. Have a think about who it is that you want to meet. Come and find me on the night. Of course I'll introduce you, no problem. Be there. It's hard work, but be there for them. Okay? They will remember it. A company, one of the universities came to me last year and said, we've got this fantastic piece of film, and we want to get it somewhere, we don't know where to get it to. Can you introduce us to somebody? Yeah, no problem. So they've now put that as a proposal over to the BBC, who are considering producing it with them and putting it out for them. We've put them out to a local production house as well. It doesn't take much, but they're really happy. And the BBC and the other production house are thinking, well, that's very proactive of the RTS. They've certainly developed on, because they're starting to think about being almost like a broker facility. So it's good. It's raising good awareness. And I've got to have in the back of my mind all the time that when I've got my RTS hat on, I'm representing a really big organisation, okay? I can't make them look anything other than professional, helpful, useful. I've got to be good. I've got to behave myself, and I've got to get it done for them, because it's a good thing to be able to represent. Right, so back to the money, because that's the all important. When we're looking at developing our business, okay, the old phrases are really, really important. And you'll have heard them time and time again. And people tend to say them in a kind of a, oh, it's not what you know, it's who you know. But actually, think about it. It's what you know and who you know. If you don't ask, you don't get. And I know everybody's parents would say, and if you keep asking, you're not going to get. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword when you're a parent and you're a business person. But if you don't ask, you don't get. Sometimes it's about having the confidence to ask, though. That can be quite a hard obstacle to get over. I really want that business, but how am I going to ask for it? It's closing the sale. It's closing the sale stuff, isn't it? You can promote all you want, but if you don't close that sale, so they'll go somewhere else. So I can sit and talk to somebody about sponsorship and say, look, it's fantastic. You could come to the RTS Awards. It'll cost you £2,000. You can sponsor a table. You can take a table. We'll have all your branding right the way through all the promotion that we do. You can bring your guests on the night. You can see them thinking, go on, ask me, ask me. Bring loads of people on the night, all your top customers. You'll be able to stand up. You can present an award. It'll be a really exciting night for you. If I don't say, how about it then? Should we do that? You happy with that? That's it. Sale's gone. Ask for the sale. If you don't ask for the sale, you won't get the business. Okay? And it's not difficult. Once you've done it once, you'll think, oh, actually, that's quite easy. So just keep asking. And if people say, I can't afford it this year, well, all right, but is it something that you would consider for next year? Because you've then got a bit of forward planning going on. Okay, you're looking at business development, you're looking at forward planning. So, for us, oh, and the last one, people by people. It goes back to what I said right at the beginning, make friends with people. Okay? If you make friends with people, they will buy off you. I will guarantee you that. It doesn't matter if whatever you are selling or promoting is slightly more expensive. If they like you, but they don't like the person that's selling the cheaper product, you will get the sale. And it's not difficult to make friends with people because most people are all right. I'm in a very fortunate position, being self-employed, in that if I don't like somebody, I won't do business with them. That's the good thing about having been through the employed route and having to be really nice to people that sometimes you think, I really don't like you, but you can't know it. But there's folk like that there that you have to. So it's a really you've got to keep that look on your face that you are so important. You are so important, Paul, to me. And I really want your business. But he's actually all right, but you might not like them. But make sure that you maintain that. They must never know. They must never know what you really think or what you say when you get home. When you're self-employed, you can pretty much pick and choose. So if you don't like somebody, there's somebody else out there that you will like, that you can deal with. And that's, when I've got to the age of 43, I'm quite happy that I can do that. We'll go on to him in a minute. Can't put Kevin Bacon up too quickly. Right, so we know how much it's going to cost us. Okay? We know that from our entry fees, from the contribution from head office, we've got a little bit of cash coming in. The cost for the food at this reception, at this great big dinner, beautiful dinner, and the drinks, because everyone expects a glass of something fizzy when they come in, is 27 quid, 27 pounds, okay? We're selling the tickets for 65. We're making 38 pounds a head. That's brilliant. So that gives us, on 350 people, another 13 and a bit grand. So that's great, because now we're only 10 grand short. So we're getting there. And like somebody over here said, sponsorship is the key for the rest of it. Now, last year, because the awards was much bigger, and I'll be totally honest with you, the sponsors that we got in was a bit panicky. It was a bit quickly, who's got some money, because we've got a shortfall and we need to get in. This year, we're going to be a lot more structured. Okay, so we've got proper sponsorship documents. We're doing it properly. But because the awards has grown and it's gathered momentum, I wasn't really prepared for that. I wasn't prepared for it to get so big so quickly. So that's where I've had to suddenly be, again, flexible and think, right, okay, what are you going to do? What are you going to do to make sure that you can cover that gap, that shortfall? So when we're sitting planning now, when I'm sitting planning, I say we, being the royal we, me and the dogs. When I'm sitting planning, I'm thinking, okay, who do I want? This is where you have to start thinking of your supply chain, right? Who is it going to be beneficial for them to be sponsors? Who needs to promote? So start thinking not just about who you work with directly, but whose businesses could benefit from you. Now, people are looking to move into new markets and diversify all the time. So really think outside the box. I've got a couple of companies that I know that I want to sponsor the awards this year. They don't know it yet, but they will do. And there's a company who finds hotel rooms. Okay, so really thinking quite outside the box here. If you've got a crew coming up from London and they're making a programme in the Midlands, they're going to need somewhere to stay. So the company that finds hotel rooms, it would be ideal for them to sponsor an RTS award, to start and get their name out there, start and get their name into the... So you've got to kind of think about other people's business development as well. And if they're not switched on enough to think, actually I might want to move into the television industry, then you've got to think about it for them. And you've got to sell to them the benefits of moving into this market and thinking about new customers, thinking about how they can broaden their customer base, thinking about what USPs you can almost lead them into. All right? So being in business is quite a lot. You have to know your business, but you have to have an idea of other people's businesses as well. These days it's really easy to do that because you've got Google. So all you've got to do is put it in, have a quick look. Who are they dealing with at the moment? Do we think that any of our contacts could get them better deals? Let's invite them along. Does that make sense? Does anything that I'm saying make sense? Somebody say yes. Thank you. So, apart from a nice night out, we've got to make the sponsors realise that it's worth their money. Them investing their money, they're going to get something out of it. They're going to be able to develop their business out of it. Okay. So, Isabel's going to be back in a minute. She's going to tell me to stop talking. Relationship building. I love Kevin Bacon. I've always loved Kevin Bacon. What's not to love? He works on this 6 degrees of separation. And I know we all know what it is, don't we? Do we all know what it is? I think it's ace. Absolutely love it. So Kevin Bacon thinks that he can get to anybody in the world in 6 moves. So the way he's got jobs in the past, and a lot of people adopt this method, is they look at where they want to be, and then they look at who they know, who might know somebody, who knows somebody else, who can get them in touch with that person. Okay? And it's really not difficult. And I want you guys to kind of try and think about that. Not just about what you want to do in your career, but what you want to do in your life. Think about who you know that can help you and make friends with them. And who do they know? And who do they know? And get to your end game. It's honestly really not difficult. I've just got, for another client of mine, I've just got a quote direct from Bob Geldof for a piece of work that this other person's done. And I applied that theory. So you can get to anybody. You just need to think about how you're going to do it. Okay? And I just wanted to put a picture of Kevin Bacon on the screen, so I'm going to leave it up for a while. Okay. In fact, I'm going to leave it up there for the rest of the session because he's so lovely. So either him or the dogs. Which do we want? Him or the dogs? So you want the dogs? Okay. When we look back at what I first said about the key to business development, sales, marketing, relationship building, sponsorship, whatever it is making friends with people. It's that personal touch. Okay. If you wanted to make friends with me, what might you talk about? Yeah, it's fairly obvious, isn't it? There's a guy who wanted to do some work with us through the RTS, and he'd looked at my Facebook page, which is clearly full of dogs. And he turned up to our first meeting with a box of Bonio for me. And I thought, oh, that's lovely. Of course you can do business with us. I don't care what you say from here on in. You've bought dog biscuits. That's great. So think about people. Think about getting to know them. When's their birthday? What's their kid's name? What are they doing at the weekend? Did they have a nice time when they went to Legoland? Whatever it might be. Think about it. Make it personal. Okay? And they will buy from you because they will be your friend. Right. Now, I'm going to put something over to you. Have I got something to... Am I all right for time? Okay. I'm going to put something over to you guys now, because I've stood and spouted about the RTS Awards and what we've done and how we've grown and how fab it is. But we've got to be missing something. We've got to be missing a trick, because it's not as big as the BAFTAs. So with your business knowledge, what am I missing? What am I missing? I'm trying to do sponsorship properly. I'm trying to get my sales going. I'm keeping my customers happy. I'm trying to do awareness raising for new customers. But what am I missing? And there isn't an answer for this one. I don't have an answer. This is me asking you guys, help. What am I missing? What do you think? Has anybody got anything that they can offer?
Maybe you're thinking too local rather than global, so social media and all that, you're using loads of it, like appealing to different...
No, because I'm a bit rubbish at it, so social media is one. Yeah.
You need to probably broaden it.
Thank you. You're absolutely right. Okay, brilliant. Anybody else? Social media, so I need to use...
More friends in America, like more contacts in Hollywood.
Because it's Midlands production. So it's stuff that's produced in the Midlands. So we've got to keep it relatively local. Be nice to make some friends in Hollywood, wouldn't it? Perhaps a trip out. Yes?
Like the media part of Staffordshire University, which is like developing to the future of media and...
So getting into more into yeah.
Like people who are going into directors and...
Yeah. Because that's the future, isn't it? The whole industry will collapse, the whole economy will collapse, unless you guys get out there and make a difference. Yes, thank you. Okay, social media, students. Anybody else got any more business development for me?
You said you've only got 1,800 viewers, and you said it's just a live stream online, so we're trying to build up your viewing platform.
Yeah.
Because obviously things like the BAFTAs and stuff, they're all on TV, so maybe try and get it on like a channel.
It's a good idea, isn't it?
And then that would help just to build it up.
Yeah. And then we can sell advertising, and then we can get more revenue. Brilliant. Fantastic. I'd like a new team, please. Okay. I said at the beginning that I wanted you guys to think about... Thank you for those suggestions, sorry. I said at the beginning I wanted you guys to think about what I'm saying, but relating it to what you want to do with your goals and your careers. Something that I decided I wanted to do a couple of years ago, and I've just failed at the first hurdle, was I want to make a television programme. Now I'm working in the industry, I quite fancy being a producer. And it took me ages to think, oh no, I'm going to say that, and people are going to go, you haven't got a clue, you've never produced anything apart from your child's birthday party. How are you going to do that? But I really want to do it, and I've just put a proposal over to Channel 4 for a programme. And I managed to get this production team round me. They did turn it down, by the way, which is a terrible shame. But there's a couple of other avenues that we can try. But I did it. I went through the process of producing something. And by talking to people, I went, I've got this idea, and it's a bit off the wall. And suddenly, I'd got a sound engineer, a filmmaker, a writer, and a researcher who'd all gone, that sounds great. If you can get that off the ground, we'll come in with you. You think, gosh, that's a bit exciting, because I said I want to do it, but the reality is these guys are professional and they're going, okay, well, let's do it then. I'm thinking, I don't know what to do now. But it's great because we're going through the process and we've learnt what the process is. And through talking to people and me saying, I'd quite like to do this, do you fancy giving me a hand? People say yes, but it comes back to having the confidence to ask. And also sometimes to actually, when you've got something that you think, I want to do that, but if I tell anybody they're going to think I'm stupid or they're going to laugh at me. It's actually sometimes just getting it out. Now I can stand in a room full of people and say, I want to make a television programme, no pressure, I'm going to have to do it at some point because I've put it out there. But that's my goal to do before I'm 50. That keeps getting further and further away. It was before I'm 44 and now it's before I'm 50 because I've been rejected. So what I want you guys to think about is not only what do you want to do in your careers, but what do you really want to do? What do you really want to do that's fun, that's a bit out there? And who do you know that could help you? Because there will be people, you've just got to ask. And you've just sometimes got to have the nerve to go, I want to do this, who do you know that can help me? Even if you're having a couple of beers with your mates and you say, do you know what, we've got to know someone between us that can do this. And they might think, oh yeah. A few years ago I was doing a project and I wanted to get hold of a racing driver. And I thought, I've got to know someone that knows a racing driver. So I went on Facebook, because I spend my life on Facebook or with the dogs, and there was a guy who I'm friends with, who I kind of know through a couple of other people, and he was sitting with some like ear protector things on and a racing shirt on his picture, and I thought, he works in motorsport, I need to speak to him. And he put me in touch with Matt Neal, who is a 50 million times British touring car champion, who came out and did some work with me, free of charge. We applied the same principle to getting Sebastian Coe to come and do an event for us. Googled a guy who he was working with, phoned him up and said, don't suppose there's any chance? Yeah, there is. It's easier on the phone sometimes to ask for things because people can't see you going, oh God, please say yes. But so practice it on the phone and practice it with your friends. But it's a really good principle to get into. So please, if you take one thing away from today, take away the fact that everybody needs a rescue dog and that everybody needs to make friends with people and ask them how they can help you to achieve your career dreams and your personal dreams. Has that been of some use? Yes. Has anybody got any questions? Well, that's even better.